Hello and welcome to this video. My name is Jack Jennings, and what we have here is a clip from a Q&A session that I was doing with the members of the Indian Classical Guitar Academy. We got into an interesting conversation about the differences between free-form improvisation and conceptual improvisation. With Indian classical music, they really specialize with conceptual improvisation. There's so many different stages, different methods, different levels to how you improvise and how you connect with the other musicians to interact in real time. So it was an interesting part of the conversation that I thought you guys would like to see. But just before we get started with that, I've opened up some spaces for new one-to-one students on Zoom. So if you want to work with me directly and get feedback on your playing and really learn about Indian classical music and develop your whole technique and everything, we can do that together. And just to entice some new students this September, I'm doing a special offer. If you book your first block of 6 lessons, then as a free bonus, you'll have access to 2 of our biggest courses, lifetime access to these courses. So that's a really great bonus to have. And the one-to-one students always get so much out of the lessons, especially added together with the video material that they can use to prepare. So people get a lot of benefit from these lessons. So I hope you guys enjoy this video, and if you want to start Zoom lessons with me, then just check out the link in the description to get in touch. Thanks for watching, see you next time.
Yeah, I think with what you just said, like using the like music of the imagination, but sort of having a sort of underlying logic or foundation that you're kind of like going off of, that's kind of like where I'm trying to get to, is like going from sort of noodling on the rug to like sort of having an idea, or like, you know what I mean? Like making that transition where it feels like I'm sort of going off of a concept instead of just feeling like I'm just noodling around.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
what you're saying there is kind of touching on that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I think that as Western musicians, that's what we really find with Indian classical music, that there's just much more of a game plan when it comes to improvising, and it feels like different to how we would just sort of noodle. Noodling is a guitar phrase that, no, I don't know if people say noodling with other instruments like piano or saxophone, but with guitar it's like, yeah, we noodle, you know, when we just kind of like sit there. No, not really practicing. I'm just kind of like, just kind of like noodling around, you know. Yeah. It's more just subconscious, and you just kind of, especially when you play with other people and in a band, you know, you kind of solo. And because the thing about that as well is that sometimes if I've tried to play, with other musicians, if they're not in that same classical headspace, you try and play different concepts and stuff, and it's almost like it doesn't really always work because they're not looking at it in the same way. So it feels like maybe better just to get on the same vibration that everyone else is on and just kind of join in. But I remember the first time that I played with Gurdane Riot, the tabla player, I just sat down with him and I immediately felt like, God, I don't really know what I'm doing. I probably sound really bad right now. I had this crushing moment where I was really looking forward to play with him, and I sat down and I suddenly thought, oh my God, this guy's played with like some of the best Indian classical musicians in the world. I probably sound terrible right now, and just kind of choked up a little bit. But I felt that I was trying to play stuff, and he was kind of looking at me like, okay, as if he was like, yeah, it's not really that clear what you're doing. And then he told me, you know, he said, the kind of concept of how you're going through the different stages, it's not really that clear, like how you're progressing and all that from one idea to another. And I almost felt as if I was suddenly on stage in like a Shakespearean play or something like that, that unless you talk in like a perfect sonnet that has like the lines have got the right cadence and they're the right timing, and it kind of rounds off in like a stylistic way that makes sense, unless you say something which actually works with the style and the grammar, the other people on the stage are going to look at you like, sorry, which stanza are you on? Like you're not reading Shakespeare right now. You're just saying random stuff. You know, it felt like everything that you played had to kind of have a certain cadence that made sense. You know, it had to fit into the way that the Tintal cycle, or whatever cycle you were playing, it had to fit in there in a logical way that the tabla player would go, yes. You know, and then once you did that, then they'd start nodding, and then they'd start joining in with you, and then that interaction, that magic would start to happen. But you couldn't turn up and just kind of expect someone like Gaudain just to interact just with whatever random thing that you did. You know, so I had to go back and do a lot of practice to really try to figure out how to play in that way that made sense to you know, so it would make sense to him, like, so then he could interact with what I was doing, and vice versa, you know. So that's what you're describing is like, that's the step where it's going from noodling to it being more systematic. And I mean, I like the noodling. I actually quite like noodling. So nice to go back to that, because there's a subconscious quality to just noodling. Stuff comes out that you're not thinking about it, and you develop a lot of nuances and nice techniques when you are just playing, while you're just kind of not really thinking. But like I did a little, like I never thought to do that, I never practiced that, but I just noticed that I was doing it after loads of noodling, which is, it's like bend, and then as you release, I can't even do it slow because you kind of have to do it fast, but I'm kind of like hammering on my little finger and then pulling off. But it kind of has to happen as part of, it kind of has to happen like that. That's the kind of thing that I got that through noodling. I'd never, if I try and practice it, I can't do it, because it actually only happens correctly when it happens in a flow of notes. So that's my other I'm not trying to contradict myself, but that's the other thing, that you do just have to noodle. And I wish some of my students actually would I wish they would just sit there with the guitar and just do random stuff as well, because you have to do that too. Otherwise you're thinking about everything that you're playing, and you don't get any of that natural kind of like swagger that like a blues guitar player, like a Jimi Hendrix, he's got that natural swagger because he's like, hey man, I'm not thinking about what I'm doing, you know, it just happens, you know, and that's the other side of it, you know.
If you enjoyed this video and want to access my complete range of guitar courses and get exclusive new lessons every month, you can start a membership subscription now. The Indian Classical Guitar Academy is a unique resource that is completely unrivaled in the guitar world. The knowledge I'm able to present here is largely thanks to my gurus Roopa Panesar and Shakir Pervez Khan. They've provided me with much of the raw material, and I've used my experience as a guitarist and teacher to develop the techniques and methods to translate this beautiful and powerful style of playing, bringing the sitar tradition to life on the electric guitar. The videos feature synchronized notation, in-depth lessons that break down every technical aspect, and practice demos that give you the perfect support to drill these skills effectively. Visit the website to find out more about the structure of the courses, special offers for membership, and massive discount bundles to look out for. You can start a free membership and get samples of new material, or dive in with a 7-day free trial and fully explore everything on offer. Full membership also gives you access to the Play Lead Guitar program, which is a powerful, systematic way to build a complete set of skills as a lead guitarist and professional musician. Even if your focus is mostly on Indian classical music, you will benefit massively from understanding more about the potential of the guitar and exploring its full capability with the super structured lessons on technique and targeted exercise to master every essential skill. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next video.